You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Let's start off with some plug-and-play HDMI dongles. Yep, this is actually what it is. You plug it in your monitor or TV and you're ready to go to play 8-bit and 60-bit games. However, take consideration that these things are not perfect emulation. I've been reviewing all kinds of different models and most of them will have some problems when it comes to emulation or some other crazy shenanigans. But again, they're like really cheap and I think this is the best which you can get when you're having like these plug-and-play sticks. But they were the best which you can actually get from the Chinese website and sometimes from other places. And in the end, they were like really cheap on AliExpress. And for the money, I think this is the best you can expect for your money. And if you're a big fan of the Sega franchise, particularly the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive or the 16-bit era, also here they made a plug-and-play stick. Yep, if you just want to have that particular system, that is possible. With the menu looking completely different again, I'm guessing they are running on an Android backend or some kind of it. However, it's kind of interesting to see how this looks completely different and now having only 16-bit games. The menu, you can see that is similar to the 8-bit and the 16-bit version, only it's more similar actually to the 8-bit with the tiny preview at the left, no videos, just a pure picture to give you an idea what the game is. And yeah, so far I can see we do have alphabetic order, so that seems to be fine, but we don't have any search results or a search engine whatsoever. We do have the same folder, so we can sideload some games, which you can actually see over there if you're going to be putting them on an SD card. But let's take a close look at the overall performance from how it is with the Sega Genesis plug-and-play stick. Ow! But if you just want to play some Super Famicom, yep, they also made the SF900. And this is just a plug-and-play Super NES controller set with another HDMI stick. So where we don't have like say an NES games now, we do have Super NES games, and I think that is pretty cool. The menu itself looks absolutely stunning when you're going to be checking out the Super NES. It's a similar idea with different kind of platforms, but they have like a graphical improvement over the 8-bit version. Yeah, besides getting the game list, you can see actually that the game list is quite basic, even a little bit more basic than the NES part, so that's kind of weird. But the Super NES version also contains the same kind of software when it comes to quick load, quick save and also aspect ratio. So that is kind of interesting that they did use the same kind of style when it comes to that. And when you're looking at the performance when it comes to emulation, it's quite good. So let's go back to the scaling options, select start. Here you can see like we can make a quick save if you want to. It's quite nice. I'm going to give you the screenshot. Scaling up, press resume again, start. And we're back with the aspect ratio. Okay, so next up let's try Desert Strike just to see one of my favorite games. If it's going to start about the chopper, get to the chopper, get to it now. Sorry, just needed to say that. But this game I played it so much as a child. It is a really fun game to play. This is like a big series. I think you had Soviet Strike, Nuclear Strike. They ported it to the PlayStation 1, to the N64. But this thing on the Super Nintendo looked really cool. But here you can see like this game runs just fine. So this was more like a problem with a certain game. Still, like even now, I find it a little bit of a bummer that we have some issues with some games. So when it comes to the Famicom part, we do have some very cool configuration over here with this nice kind of cool box. However, this is not an uncommon thing, by the way. So, okay, so we're having 4 button controls. And that means that we're having implemented turbo. So that's kind of convenient for a couple of games. Select and start are very nice rubberized buttons. The D-pad is not actually a D-pad. We do need 2 batteries in the inside because there's no lithium batteries or rechargeable batteries in the inside. This is like super basic. It can get more basic than this actually. However, this is what it is, and yeah, it comes with everything you're going to be needing, even a tiny screwdriver to open up the controllers, and of course the very cool looking dongle. What is convenient that we're having a very tiny dongle. However, the SD card is a non-generic brand, so I will always like make a backup out of these things, because part of the firmware is there and they can get corrupted. All of these game sticks will be connected the same way. What you can do is plugging in a power adapter like a 5V one, normal phone charger, or use a USB on your television. The downside to that is that every single time you're going to be powering on your TV, it will automatically power on the HDMI dongle, even if you're not going to be tuning in to the channel. So over here you can just plug it in like that, and you can just plug it into your HDMI port. That's it, that's how you plug it in, and you're ready to go. The menu itself is something similar that we have seen before with those NES Mini clone devices. However, the overall layout looks kinda better, at least at the main menu level. So Adventure, Shooting, Sport, Racing, Puzzle, and the User folder where we can add our games ourselves. So when you're getting into the menu, there's nothing much to do, just plug in and just play. And we're having this menu that actually looks kinda basic. There is no screenshot, that's quite unfortunate. But we do have them with the basic menu, and you can just see there are all kinds of games on there, but unfortunately they didn't implement every picture. So that is one of those many, let's say, failures they're having with these cheap products. So you know, the finishing touch is always missing with these things. One of the really cool new features when you're going to play a game and you want to go back to the main menu, pressing select and start will give you the option to go to a special menu. Here we can make a quick save, and here we have different save data if you want to. Here even having tiny screenshots. You can also having the loading situation. I think it's pretty damn awesome to have this option implemented. So when it comes to the screen size, they even have an aspect ratio option, and it seems to be working even fine. So that is kind of interesting, to be honest, seeing all of these new features from the NES all the way up to the Mega Drive and the Super NES sticks. They are trying to do basically like better. And when you're looking at the older models, even have the option to change out regions. And of course we can just quit and go back to the menu. Pressing select goes back to the category. So navigating through the system works quite well.